Hello and welcome. It's Monday and it's Motivational Monday by Jim and Lucy. Today we're going to be motivated to do more and the most effective way because our special guest today is Emily Guerra, and Emily specializes on how you can get unstuck and move forward no matter what. I mean, this week, this Monday, today, next 10 minutes. Hello, Emily.
Hi there. How are you?
We're good. Thank you.
Yes, we're absolutely borderline perfect. Thank you. It's so good to have your enthusiasm this morning.
Well, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. So tell us a little bit more your journey, how you started to work on productivity sequences, topics, and how you help people.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually graduated in 2020, so right into the pandemic. And the years prior, I had been planning to become a wedding planner, and I actually had a wedding planning job lined up, and I was working at a restaurant. And so when lockdown hit and I graduated college, I lost all of my plans. I lost my job, I lost my apartment, my future roommate lost her job. And so within 3 weeks, I feel like my entire future had just been put on hold and everything was out of my control. And then I ended up moving in with some family members across the country. They were so generous to, feed another mouth. And I am so grateful for their support because they allowed me to really just kind of do some soul searching and to figure it out, get a couple oddball jobs. And then that's when I started freelancing social media services. And throughout that process, I gained a couple of clients through word of mouth and really fell in love with working for myself and being my own boss and working from home. And I wanted to optimize my work from home flow as much as possible, which is really how I fell in love with productivity and systems and streamlining and optimizing everything I could in any way I could. And I really fell in love with self-help books and figuring out how to mesh my mental health and my productivity together because I realized that you cannot boost productivity and reach your fullest professional potential without first focusing on yourself. And that really is the foundation of productivity. And that's when I created the productivity flow to help people like me, women like me, working for themselves in boosting their mindset so that way they can boost their productivity.
So if this situation had not occurred to you, your roommate leaving and you're missing the opportunity you thought was right in front of you, you wouldn't be where you are now.
Absolutely. I fully believe that if COVID had not hit, I would have never been my own boss. And I think I really am very proud of myself, honestly, of how I was able to feel like I had no future and then create a future out of that. I think that is honestly one of my proudest moments looking back.
I'm really, forgive me, I didn't mean to cut you off, honey, but I'm really proud of you. You don't need me to say that, but this morning we were watching the morning news and we saw here in Canada where a logging company in British Columbia had gone out of business and it had put thousands and thousands of people, had employed them for decades. And it showed now a small number of people that were upset with the government because they felt like no one had prepared them for a future, as if everything was always certain. And here you are, rather than sitting there whining and saying, why didn't someone help us right now and solve the problem? You're saying, hey, wait a minute, change is always going to happen, but I'm going to find a way to turn something into it, out of it. I'm impressed by that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I will say it took me some time to get there. It was not immediate. I will be the first to admit that I probably spent that entire summer right after I graduated sulking for a little bit and angry at the world and really just in probably one of my worst mindsets that I have been because I wanted to blame somebody. I wanted to have somebody to get mad at, but there wasn't somebody to get mad at. And so I got mad at everyone. Yes. And it took a lot of work. And I really am so thankful for my therapist and being in therapy because without having that foundational advice to go back to, it would have been a longer struggle for me. So therapy is definitely one of the biggest reasons I was able to kind of overcome that hurdle.
You must have a lot of friends, don't you?
I do.
But we're smiling, we're talking to you, and we're sitting here, and I'm thinking, I mean, what a refreshing attitude to have. People probably love being around you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I hope so.
Well, Emily, the question for me, I know that many people get stuck in that cycle that you just described, going through the victim mode or anger, or just sulking on a sofa with binge watching some TV shows and finding the reasons why things don't happen for them and happen to them. So,
Right.
What do you think? In addition, you mentioned the therapy, so getting help is important. But what are the inner abilities, inner strengths, skills? What are the tools that a person can use in order to jump out of those vicious parts like victim or being angry?
Yes.
Great question. So I think the two biggest things that really helped me, number one, forgiveness, and number two, gratitude. So for forgiveness, this kind of goes in a couple different directions. You have to really start with actually forgiving yourself and forgiving for the way you feel, for your attitude, for just everything that's been happening when you kind of let go of, okay, yes, this all happened to me. And yes, I've been treating it this way, but I'm going to forgive myself for how I've been reacting and then just let it go. And I think that's a really key first step in getting unstuck, because without that ability, you don't have a clear mind to address everything else. So forgiveness is definitely the first step. And then after you are a little bit clearer minded, you can start being a little bit more gracious for everything that is around you, because sure, there are some things falling apart, but not everything is falling apart. So take a moment every single day. You just list 3 things that you are grateful for and continue with that practice every single day. And then you'll start to notice that you feel more grateful for other things throughout the day, because you're training your mindset to become more grateful. So those 2 key tools are really, really, really valuable in getting unstuck.
That's really good.
It is important. Well, Emily, you mentioned on your website that you work with women. Is that correct?
We do, yes.
Well, I once heard the statement that us women are able to rebuild ourselves from the tiny pieces after everything around us crashes. I mean, the whole world disappears. Why did you choose to work specifically with women?
Great question. I've actually never been asked this question, but I totally have a great answer for you. So I believe that women are kind of forced to be quote unquote productive in so many more arenas in our lives than men. So like, for example, if you look at a typical working mom, she works all day and then she has to go home and essentially work again, just in a different way for her kids, her family, and the home at night. And there's just, when you work from home, that mesh and there's less balance and there's less boundaries can really hinder and hurt not only your productivity, but your mindset too. And I think women really struggled with this, particularly a lot more so than men after the pandemic, because of work from home. And since I am a woman, I definitely have a keener insight into these struggles and challenges that we all feel. And that is why I chose to really focus and help self-employed women.
That's amazing. Let's hear the male perspective too.
Love to, honestly.
We made a mistake giving women the right to vote. Okay, how was that? I'm only teasing.
Someone's in trouble here.
Bam. I'm only teasing. But you know what? I read a book by Dr. David Rubin. He had a book called Good to Great, I believe it is, and he's a physician, but he believes in cognitive therapy. And one of the things he talked about was a a man who had been governor, but he lost his race to become reelected. And the man came to him as a therapist because he was so depressed and he saw himself as an utter failure. Mm-hmm. Despite all the success and accomplishments he had in his life, he saw that one moment as an utter failure for him, and he could not get out of the hole he was in. Right. What kind of advice do you give to people who look so far into the past that they can't see the future that's before them?
Great question. Honestly, I kind of want to go back to the forgiveness part. I really do believe that when you are so holding on to something that happened in the past, it means that you have this feeling that you need to let go of. And typically that feeling will be solved with forgiveness. So when you can forgive the situation that happened and just start to let go of it, and then start to be more present and be more in the moment and focus more on the now and what is happening, what you can do to move forward today, even if it's just 1%, that'll help you start to let go of the past. And then an even better thing to do is to create a vision for the future and to really just start narrowing in on how you can avoid what happened in the past in the future and make a plan for moving forward.
That's good. Isn't it amazing how quick we are to forgive our friends and family members for things, but yet ourselves is so slow, if it comes at all, to forgive ourselves?
So slow. We're never taught that. We are growing up as children, we're taught to forgive everyone else, right? But then when we are in trouble, we are taught to say sorry. We're not taught to forgive ourselves for being in trouble. And I think that's really a challenge that sticks with us all throughout adulthood. And it's, as adults, we make even bigger mistakes than we do as kids. And it's so much harder to let go of those mistakes. So just honestly working on forgiveness is something that is so huge for not only getting unstuck in the past, but also in the present.
I like you. Yeah. You do. You are refreshing, you're honest, and you have some great ideas. Folks, if you're looking for someone out there who know what they're doing, what they're talking about, and they're trying to give you a lot of hyperbole, this is the lady that can help you.
Oh, you're so kind. I like you too. You're the best.
Well, thank you.
Well, our dear listeners, this is Emily Guerra, and the website is theproductivityflow.com. Go order the coaching, join the coaching program, the course, read the blog, buy the printables. Is that correct, Emily?
Yes, I have a ton of printables, and then I also actually have a ton of free printables in every one of my blogs that help you implement all of the systems that I talk about. So definitely check that out.
Well, that's very helpful. So the productivityflow.com, you can find link in the description to this episode.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Emily. Before we go, is there anything, any exercise, any tool that you give our listeners that they can try to apply this particular week to improve their productivity?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that has shifted my mindset and really helped me grow is affirmations. Now, I know that sounds a little cheesy, but they really do work in helping you transition from one mindset to another. And so if you have 2 seconds every single morning to write down one sentence that empowers you, I strongly, strongly suggest that you do so.
Well, you're onto something, because it's easy for us to eschew affirmations and say, oh, this doesn't work, and so on. But I was telling my wife the other day about it. We actually accomplish almost 100% of the things that we set out for in life. The goals that we set out for, we actually accomplish all of them. You know why? Because we affirm every day our self-talk that's negative. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do that. And we don't do it. We don't accomplish it because we're giving ourselves a negative affirmation somehow. I'm not good enough. It's everybody else is better than me. It's not my time. I need to wait, and so on. And so you're onto something here, that we give ourselves, reinforce those positive affirmations and ingrain them inside ourselves. we can really accomplish so much more than we thought we could.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, humans are just self-fulfilling prophecies. Our thoughts, beliefs, and our beliefs turn into actions. And so everything really does start with what you think. And just focusing on your mindset will boost not only your productivity, but just so many other arenas of your life. So I love that you guys have been affirming yourself and affirming your goals. And look, you've hit them all. Congratulations. That's huge. That's proof that they work.
They do work. You know, we left Ukraine just before the war started.
Oh, wow.
And we've lived in Mexico City before we came here. And I want you to know that I would say almost every goal we have ever set for ourselves, we have accomplished. And we've been really fortunate. But everybody out there can do this. You know, anybody who signs up with Emily right now, I'm going to eat a worm, okay? Sign up with her and watch me eat a worm live.
And we have those in Canada.
Yes, we do.
Well, good for you guys. I'm very happy for you guys and love to hear that you are in a much better place and continue to keep moving forward.
Thank you very much, Emily. Thank you for joining us today. And our dear listeners, so go try the affirmation and work with Emily. Start today. There is no time to wait. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you. Have a lovely one.
This is Motivational Monday by Jim and Lucy.
Follow our podcast.
And check out our website, jimandlucywoods.com.